March 4th, 2002, above Takur Gar, Afghanistan. The MH-47 Chinook descends toward a moonlit saddle of snow at 10,000 feet. Technical Sergeant John Chapman monitors 5 radio frequencies while checking his weapon, but something feels wrong. The mountain is too quiet, too perfect, like a trap waiting to spring. They're here to rescue Neil Roberts, the Navy SEAL who fell from another helicopter 3 hours earlier when enemy forces turned a routine insertion into a catastrophe. The Chinook flares 50 feet above the snow when the entire mountainside erupts. 3 hidden bunkers open fire simultaneously, their muzzle flashes creating a triangle of fire around the landing zone. Tracers crisscross through the thin air while rocket-propelled grenades spiral past the rotors. The pilots have 2 seconds to decide, abort and leave Roberts, or commit to landing in an ambush. They choose to land. The helicopter slams down harder than intended as rounds punch through the fuselage. Before the ramp fully lowers, 2 Rangers are wounded. The team pours out into a meticulously prepared ambush zone where every inch has been pre-registered for mortar and machine gun fire. Chapman immediately recognizes the tactical nightmare. 3 reinforced bunkers control the landing zone, one 30 meters directly ahead, another 25 meters northwest, and a third 40 meters northeast. They create interlocking fields of fire with no empty space. No cover except shallow depressions in the snow that could barely stop a snowball, much less a bullet. The damaged Chinook lifts off trailing smoke, leaving them alone on this hostile peak where the enemy has spent weeks preparing for exactly this moment. For 12 minutes, the Rangers and Special Operators exchange fire with the entrenched enemy. Every attempt to advance draws concentrated machine gun fire. Every exposed movement results in casualties. Chapman tries to coordinate air support, but fast movers can't operate effectively at this altitude, and the weather is deteriorating. More Rangers take hits as their ammunition dwindles against defenders who seem to have unlimited supplies. At 04:58 hours, Chapman watches Sergeant Bradley Cross fall wounded and realizes the mathematics are simple. They'll all perish here unless someone does something impossible. He breaks from cover and charges directly at the nearest bunker. Chapman's sprint through waist-deep snow at this altitude defies physics. Machine gun rounds create a tunnel of supersonic cracks around him, but he uses every fold in the terrain, every minor depression, forcing enemy gunners to constantly adjust their aim. The Rangers watch in disbelief as the Air Force combat controller achieves what shouldn't be possible. He reaches the first bunker's entrance without slowing down. 2 enemy fighters inside are still trying to track this impossible target when Chapman flows through the doorway with his weapon already up. 4 rounds, 2 controlled pairs, 3 seconds. Both threats neutralized before they can return fire. Chapman doesn't even finish clearing the rest of the bunker. He knows speed is survival, and his teammates are still taking casualties in the open. The second bunker is 25 meters away across completely exposed terrain. Chapman emerges from the first position and immediately draws fire from both remaining bunkers. The crossfire should be unsurvivable, but he moves in unpredictable patterns, using controlled breathing to maximize oxygen intake while his legs drive through the deep snow. He vaults a wall of sandbags and enters the darkened interior where multiple fighters have created overlapping fields of fire. Inside Bunker 2, Chapman faces the kind of close-quarters combat that military doctrine says requires a full team. He has no one to cover his blind spots, no flashbangs to disorient defenders, no supporting fire to suppress enemy positions. For 3 minutes, the Rangers outside hear automatic weapons firing in controlled bursts, grenades detonating, and voices shouting in multiple languages. Senior Chief Slabinski tries to maneuver his SEALs forward to support Chapman, but machine gun fire from the third bunker forces them back. Then comes silence from Bunker 2. Slabinski can't see inside the fortification, can't raise Chapman on the radio, and has multiple Rangers who need immediate medical evacuation or they won't make it. The third bunker continues to dominate their position with accurate fire. He makes the only tactical decision available: withdraw to a defensible position down the eastern slope where they can establish a casualty collection point and call for reinforcements. The team moves under fire, carrying wounded teammates through the snow. They report Chapman has fallen in action. One more hero lost to Takur Gar. They don't know that inside Bunker 2, Chapman has neutralized all enemy fighters, but sustained multiple serious injuries. They don't know he's watching them withdraw and understands why. It's the right call based on what they can see. At 0504 hours, Chapman emerges from the bunker despite wounds that would have taken down a normal man. He takes a covered position overlooking the helicopter landing zone because he knows this fight isn't over. More Americans will come for the Rangers who didn't make it out, and when they do, these bunkers need to stay suppressed. 7 enemy fighters attempting to reoccupy the cleared positions discover that Chapman is very much still in the fight. He engages them with precise shots, conserving ammunition because he's down to 3 magazines. Each trigger pull is calculated. At this altitude, with these wounds, he may not stay conscious much longer. For 6 minutes, one wounded Air Force combat controller prevents enemy forces from re-establishing positions that would devastate any rescue attempt. Then a sniper's bullet finds him. What happened next? We can't show it all here without YouTube slapping this video with a warning, but we can show you on Patreon. To watch the full-length video completely uncensored, subscribe to my Patreon page, where there are no restrictions on what we can tell and show you there. Scan the code or use the link in the description now to watch the full video. The bullet strikes Chapman at 05:14 hours, the impact spinning him away from his covered position. He falls backward into the snow, his weapon sliding beyond reach. The combination of shock and oxygen deprivation causes his vision to tunnel, then fade to black. For 1 minute and 47 seconds, the Predator drone circling overhead records no movement from Chapman's position. Enemy fighters cautiously emerge from cover, believing the last American threat has been eliminated. They begin advancing toward the cleared bunkers, preparing to reoccupy them before the next rescue attempt. 2 fighters sprint toward an RPG launcher positioned near the landing zone. Another team moves to retrieve the heavy machine gun from Bunker 2. The summit of Takur Gar is about to become a fortress again. Then Chapman's fingers twitch in the snow. His eyes open, focusing on the gray dawn sky above Afghanistan. The pain is overwhelming. Multiple wounds, hypothermia setting in, his body shutting down system by system. He can hear the distinctive sound of helicopter rotors in the distance. Razor 02 is approaching with 24 Rangers aboard. His vision clears enough to see 2 enemy fighters nearly at the RPG launcher. Chapman's body won't respond properly. His right arm is numb, his legs won't support his weight, and every movement sends agony through his torso. But those fighters are 30 seconds from acquiring an RPG that will destroy the incoming helicopter. He forces himself to roll onto his stomach, dragging his M4 carbine through the snow with his left hand. The 2 fighters reach the RPG launcher. One begins loading a warhead, while the other serves as security. Chapman props the rifle on a small rock, his hands shaking from shock. His sight wavers across the target. He forces his breathing to steady, using techniques learned in combat control school. Breathe, hold, squeeze. The first fighter drops. His partner turns, confused, as Chapman shifts aim and fires again. Both threats eliminated at 70 meters with the last rounds in his magazine. Chapman's position is now revealed. More enemy fighters converge on him from multiple directions. He ejects the empty magazine and reaches for another, but his numb fingers fumble with the pouch. By the time he reloads, 3 fighters are within 20 meters. He engages the closest, but his wounded body can't control the recoil properly. Some shots miss, others find their targets. Razor 02 is now 60 seconds from landing. Chapman continues to engage advancing enemies, keeping their focus on him instead of the approaching aircraft. When his rifle runs dry, he transitions to his sidearm, a Beretta M9 with limited range but still lethal at close quarters. Every enemy fighter focused on him is one not preparing to engage the helicopter. He's buying time with ammunition that is quickly running out. The Rangers fast rope from Razor 02 into a landing zone that should have been impossible. Instead, they find 2 bunkers already cleared, and enemy forces focused on a single position where John Chapman makes his last stand. They don't know who he is or how long he's been fighting. They only know that someone gave them a chance. At 05:18 hours, enemy fighters close to hand-to-hand range with Chapman. His pistol is empty, but he still has his combat knife and the will to protect the Rangers spreading across the landing zone. The drone footage shows him grappling with one attacker while another approaches from behind. Even now, Chapman fights with desperate fury, preventing enemy forces from establishing positions that would devastate the rescue force. Multiple fighters converge on his position simultaneously. Chapman swings his knife, throws punches with hands that barely respond, and uses his body weight to block enemies from reaching their weapons. His last conscious act is keying his radio, trying to warn the Rangers about enemy positions, though his voice no longer carries. Then silence. He fought alone for 17 minutes. The 24 Rangers from Razor 02 successfully establish a foothold on Takur Gar because of Chapman's sacrifice. The drone footage of Chapman's last stand remains classified for 16 years, stored on a server while his family believes he fell in the opening minutes of the battle. In 2016, technology advances allow analysts to enhance and study the old drone footage. They discover something extraordinary. Chapman fighting alone long after being reported as fallen, losing consciousness and then somehow returning to the fight, engaging enemies until his final breath. The revelation forces a re-evaluation of everything they thought they knew about the battle. On August 22nd, 2018, Chapman's widow Valerie and their daughters Madison and Brianna, now adults, stand in the White House. The president places the Medal of Honor around Valerie's neck while explaining how her husband held a mountaintop alone against 30 enemies to save fellow Americans. It's the first Medal of Honor awarded to an airman since Vietnam, and the first ever recorded on video. Bye for now.